No, but is Ken on the phone?
Yes.
All right, but we have with us now Mr. Ken Davis. Let me give him the appropriate introduction. And Ken Davis is one of the country's most sought after motivational and inspirational speaker. His mixture of side-splitting humor and his powerful insight on living fully alive have inspired audiences around the world. He's an award-winning author, 12 books. I love his books. His film Fully Alive. Really, everyone needs to watch that. Everyone needs to read the book Fully Alive. It will really, it will empower you. It will refresh your life. It will make you feel young again and get you excited about life. It was played in theaters across the U.S., but it's still on Netflix, so you can get it on Netflix. Ken is the president of Ken Davis Productions, Lighten Up Ministry, and he produces inspirational and motivational life shows, DVDs, books, seminars, and conferences designed to make a positive difference in the quality of people's life. He is from the beautiful northern Minnesota, but now lives with his lovely wife Diane in Franklin, Tennessee. Ken, welcome to the show. How are you, brother?
Well, I'm doing fine. I want to meet this guy.
Oh, that
This
guy that
Ken
I'm
Davis
talking
guy.
about?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you and I want the rest of the audience and the listeners to meet him, so we're gonna play one of your videos. And in my opinion, is
Okay.
what I mean. I can't pick. Normally I pick which videos we're gonna. For you, everyone was amazing. So we're gonna play this video right now for 2 minutes, and we will talk with Mr. Ken Davis.
Hey, Ken Davis here. I hope you enjoy this little clip. I call it the confused stage of life. We did this for our movie, Fully Alive. Someone came up to me the other day and said, hey, I know where you got that. You got it on the internet. Nope, the internet got it from me. That thing has gone viral, and I think you're going to enjoy the confused stage of life.
And so I make my way out of this building, and I know exactly where we came in. I know exactly where the car is supposed to be. I walked out, and it was gone. My car had been stolen. Now I was in big trouble. So I picked up the phone. My first call was to the police. I said, I was in a meeting, and I am afraid I left my keys in the car, but you need to come. My car has been stolen. I want my car back. Would you please come? And I gave them the address and said, will you come here? And then I hung up the phone, and I called my wife. And I didn't hang it up like that because it was a cell phone. That tells you how old I am. I hung up the phone and I called my wife. This was the most troubling call of all. And I said, sweetheart, I know you have told me that I should never leave my keys in the car, but I left my keys in the car, and I came out, and baby, the car is gone. The car had been stolen. You women have no mercy. There was a long pause. I said, are you there? She said, Ken, I dropped you off. That's a true story. I said, can you come and get me? She said, yes, I will be there in about 15 or 20 minutes. I said, no, why 15 or 20 minutes? Can you come and get me now? She said, I will be there in just a little while. I said, why just a little while? She said, I have to convince this policeman that I have not stolen your car.
That is Ken Davis, and he is so gracious to join us on the podcast. Mr. Davis, Ken, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day, and I'm still on the right side of the sod, so I feel great.
That's good. Thank you. You are in Nashville now. And I know you have a home in Denver, and you decided to leave Denver and move to Nashville. And the
Yes.
question was why?
Yeah. Well, the reason I moved to Nashville was my daughter got married and she had a baby, and I fell in love with the baby. And then her husband decided to take the baby to Nashville, and I think they thought they could get away from me, but they forgot that I had a little money, so I just followed them.
And you're a pilot too.
I was a pilot. I did follow them in a plane too. I did. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, one of the most powerful things, I mean, a lot of things you said and written are powerful, is when you were sharing about how you sat down and you were contemplating leaving beautiful Denver to go to Nashville. And I can finish it, but you can finish it if you want.
Yes. You may remember better than me.
Okay.
But that'd be like me asking you, the other night when you sat down to watch TV, what was that thought that ran through your mind? What I think what you're talking about is I wrote down on a sheet of paper all of the reasons that I wanted to move to Nashville, and or that I wanted to stay in Denver, and it filled an entire sheet. I mean, there's over 300 days of sunshine in Denver. There's mountains, there's elk, there's all kinds of outdoor activity. Skiing is in Denver. It just filled an entire sheet. On the other side of the page was just the name of a baby, Tracy Lynn Davis. I'm sorry, Kylie. I don't even know my own children. It was my granddaughter, Kylie Brielle Shear, and that one name outweighed everything on the left-hand side of the page.
And then you finished it with a powerful message, and you said when Jesus had to come to earth, on the left sheet of the column, he wrote every
That's right.
reason why he could stay in heaven on the throne
Yeah.
with the glory and all that.
Yes. See, you remember my stuff better than I do.
So let me give the audience the encouragement. And on the other side, he wrote one name, and it was your name, people. Everyone is
That's
listening.
right. That's
And
right.
that's amazing. Oh, I remember everything you did. I mean, you know what? I have to tell you this, Ken. When I left Hollywood, when I left the clubs and I became a Christian, and I was in California, and there weren't many comedians back then, Christian comedians working the churches, and there were some who are Christians, but they were doing just comedy, clean comedy, and all that. You were the one that would go up and just make the audience laugh so hard, which is I admire because I'm a club comic. I came from the clubs. And to me,
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
time, some of the Christian comics were just doing churches, and church comedy was very graceful and accepting and you don't have to be great. You can just say, Jesus loves you, and then people will laugh. You
Yeah.
were powerful. You were just boom, 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 hit him. But then you gave the gospel message. You spoke about Jesus, and to me that was intriguing. So I started watching you and learning from you. And one thing that really I admired about you that not many comics, mainstream and regular, have, you are not afraid of silence. You can say a word and stop. And
Yeah.
there's
Yes.
silence in the theater or in the arena, and you don't care. You don't look shaken. So to me, I
No,
admire that.
no. I don't usually like to hear that after a joke, though. That silence after a joke, that's bad. But
No, not after a
there
joke,
is
like in between, like when you're
I
sharing.
know. I'm just messing with your brain.
So, so I was following you. At one time, I toured with you, and I took you we went to different events together, and I got you lost. How many times? More than a few times.
I don't know.
But I want
You
the
did.
audience.
You did. I was going to say you didn't take me to events. You took me near events, somewhere near where it was supposed to be.
That's funny. I want to tell the audience, I saw you a few years ago and you always looked good to me. I mean, you never were overweight or anything. But all of a sudden, there was this great transformation. All of a sudden, you have these muscles, you lost weight, you're in shape, you look 20 years younger. Tell me what happened.
Well, to tell the whole story, what caused that? You didn't see me probably at my heaviest. At my heaviest, I weighed close to 245 pounds, something like that, and I couldn't tie my shoes without breathing hard. I remember standing at the edge of the ocean one time, holding the hand of my little granddaughter, and realizing that if she were 50 yards out in the surf, I couldn't help her. And I decided, God works in mysterious ways. You would think that maybe I would decide then to read my Bible and change. What had happened to me was I had been told that I didn't have to work another day in my life. I knew I was successful, and I started to lean on all of that instead of remembering who brought me to the dance.
Mm.
And it really, really was a difficult time for me. But here's how God works. As I was standing beside that ocean, I decided to enlist or sign up to compete in a triathlon. You say, well, that's not a God thing. Well, it certainly was. I lost 40 pounds training for the triathlon. And believe it or not, all of the parts of our life are connected. So as I began to get physically better, I also began to get spiritually better, more aware. Mm. And in my book, I talk about how that event and all those events led to a major change in my life. By the way, I took second in that triathlon.
What? First time doing a triathlon, you came in second.
Yeah.
Tell us
in my age group. There were only two guys in my age groups. I came in second.
You
Boy, you're slow. You are.
No, I got it, but it's the laughter. There's a. We have to wait on the laughter, but no. That's amazing. Now, what was the triathlon like? What did you have to do?
Oh, you run. Well, first of all, you swim. And this last one I did was 400 meters. I don't remember what the first one was. 400 meters swim. Swimming is not a sport, by the way. It's a survival technique. It keeps you off the bottom of the pool. Then you had to bike. And we biked, boy, I wish I could remember now. I think it was 11 or 12 miles. Mm. And then you have to run. And we ran a 10K.
All in the same day?
All in the same, one right after another.
So no breaks. You can't just sit, eat a sandwich, smoke it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And you did, that was your first time after losing 40 pounds. And how old were you when this happened?
I was about 60, 64, 65. And I just did one this year. And I'm 72 now. So I'm planning, my grandchildren all want me to do it again next year. I competed with my grandchildren.
So you're feeling better at 72 than when you did when you were what?
Oh, probably 62, 61, 62, in that range.
So what do you tell people who are listening right now or watching? What do you tell them about the Fully Alive?
Well, there's more than one aspect to it, but I tell them that you really were created for a purpose, and to know that purpose and follow that purpose. Your purpose wasn't to be successful. Your purpose wasn't to be able to sit back and relax. The word retirement doesn't appear anywhere in the Bible. You can quit your job, you can retire from your job, but you can't retire from what you're here for. And so I encourage people to take good care of their bodies so that they can continue to do what they've been called to do, and to take good care of themselves spiritually, and to not forget, as I said before, who brought them to the dance. When you lose sight of that, something happens, and for me, it wasn't a good thing. For me, it brought me to a very, very deep depression, and And God himself reached down and used several events in my life, including, I think you've heard the story of my little granddaughter when she was 4 getting lost in the wilderness, wandering away from a campsite at 10,500 feet. And that horrible, terrible experience, and what I learned as a result of her miraculous recovery, the fact that they found her, was just one of many steps along the way that helped me return. And I want your listeners to know this too. Life is a struggle, and there are still times when I struggle, but I refuse to go back to that hopeless part. And anybody that tells you that they don't struggle, they passed away sometime a couple of years ago. The only time that we don't have problems is when we're laying in front of the church and people are walking past us going, "Oh, doesn't he look good?" Which is kind of sad, don't you think? Because they never said that while I was alive.
That's true. Nobody walks up to you at the grocery store
No.
"Oh, you look good."
No. Don't you look good? Yeah, it looks natural.
It looks alive.
Yeah. Somebody said, I don't know where I heard this, somebody said to a friend, what do you want people to say at your funeral? And he said, what I want to hear most is, look, he moved. He's alive.
You're right. But let me ask you this, Ken. Do you think pastors who are overweight and doesn't take care of their health, do you think if they start taking care of their health, and would they be spiritually fit better?
I think that, this is, we always use this when we talk about growing up as a Christian. You use this phrase all the time. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. You should not drink, smoke, or chew, or go with girls that do. Well, your body's no, I'm serious.
No, but I didn't hear it. I came to the country late. I never heard that, but that's funny.
And that was all what it was about. But in reality, if our body is a temple of God's Spirit, then we need to take care of it. Mm-hmm. We don't want to abuse it. And I think when a person is healthier physically, they're healthier mentally. And I think it helps them be more aware spiritually. It doesn't always follow in that order. When God touched my life and helped save my life, he started with the physical. I don't know why that thought came into my mind. I'm going to sign up for a triathlon. I just thought that maybe that would be a good place to start. And it was. But sometimes it happens in any order he wants it to happen in. But certainly taking care of yourself is very, very important.
So what do you do? What is your typical day now? What do? You get up in the morning in Nashville. What time do you get up?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you that.
What can I do? What kind of damage I can do to you by knowing what time you get up? I live in California. I'm not in Nashville. Oh, I'm going to call him and wake him up.
Yeah, I wake up at different times. I generally, because of the way we've lived our lifestyles, my tendency is against what some people say, and that is to stay up late, because we've had to most of our lives, right, and then get a good night's sleep and wake up a little later in the morning. I don't like 6 o'clock. In fact, I haven't seen 6 o'clock for a long, long time, 6 a.m. But once I get up, I try to get active, spend at least 45 minutes several times a week in doing something that's very physical. Sometimes that's a really fast walk. Sometimes that's a run. Most of the time it's bicycle. I love bicycling. And I can, as a result, I used to be able to, now they're grown, but I used to be able to throw my grandchildren in the air and catch them about 50% of the time.
They're big now. They can't.
Oh, yeah, I can't throw them in the air anymore. No. One's in college. One graduates from high school this year. It just happens fast, man. It happens so fast.
You know, my daughter was yesterday when we drove home from San Diego. She was sleeping in the back seat, and she's 11 now, and she's like her mom's height and weight. So I tried to pick her up just to take her to bed without waking her up. Oh, it was a scene. She hit
Yep, I
everything
know.
from the garage to the. I mean, she got abused, damaged. I mean, really bruises, everything with her, and she remained sleeping, which is good. And I'm
That's
carrying her
good.
like 2 inches from the ground, like her
Yeah,
butt. But you're right. You gotta be in
yeah,
shape to do them. So, Ken, you're the one who is. I mean, I always looked up to you because you can do a church in one day, and the next day you can do a corporate, and
yeah,
then you go. And I have to say this: I do a big conference, a big festivals with thousands of people
yes.
in Colorado. And in that festival, I've done it every year, and there's always the youth, the teenagers in the front. There's a couple thousand teenagers in the front because there's Newsboys or Jeremy Camp or some big, band, Christian band. So they're waiting out, to the front. They want to jump and dance and sing, and they're waiting for the speakers to just finish. In the back, there's like thousands of parents and grandparents and different age people sitting down. Now, most of the time, you get the bands singing, then you get the speaker, and then the ones in the front that's just like, okay, this is our time to talk and relax, and let the ones in the back enjoy. You came in, and I was like, okay, how is that gonna work? Now, for me, they got used to me. I've been doing it for a while. They love me, so they laugh with me. I can get them connected for 10 minutes at a time. And you came in, and you grabbed everybody in the place in the palm of your hand, made them laugh so hard, and when it was time to give the invitation, they responded like nobody else. How do you do that? Come on, tell me. How do you do that?
Oh, uh, I'm going to say something that sounds arrogant, but it's not. It's a gift. It's not something I can say, hey, here. Well, I do teach how to hold attention of folks like that, but it really is something God gave me. I can't claim any credit for it. When somebody gives you a gift, you can't say, well, look what I've done. No, look what you got. And it has been that way since I can remember, since I first started speaking. I think part of it is an extreme awareness of the people that are in the audience, and a intentional attempt to find a common thread that everybody can listen to. If I talk about how weird teenagers are, the parents enjoy that because they're in the back going, boy, that's a fact, and if I talk about how strange parents are, the kids enjoy that because nobody's ever dared say that. And if I talk about the fact that we're all weird in some way, I'm not okay, you're not okay, but that's okay because God loves us anyway. It touches a chord. It touches a chord in people's lives. So I can't claim anything for that other than it's a gift. And as you know, I've spent a good part of my life teaching people what I've learned about using this gift in our speaking conferences. But
And
yeah,
this is where I want to take us in this session coming up about, because I know I was at one of them. I flew to Nashville. I never fly to listen to a speaker or to get training because I've been working on my comedy every day and all that. But I was there, and it really enriched my career. And there's a listener here. Someone's maybe have a call for you. So, hello. Thank you for waiting on the line. Who's this?
Hi, this is Chris Rossetti in San Francisco.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hello, Nazareth, and hello, Mr. Davis.
hello. I'm glad to talk to you, Chris.
I have a question for your guest. Is it okay if I ask him, Nazareth?
Of course. Go ahead.
I have your book, Fully Alive. I received it a few years ago. And by the way, it survived a recent decluttering, and it's on my bookshelf still.
Good. I know those declutterings.
what I want to ask you is, first, let me mention this. Since I've read your book, whenever I hurt myself or physically feel bad, my wife reminds me, fully alive, fully alive. So we still use that in our household.
That's good. Oh, that's hilarious.
So I was wondering, is there a sequel coming out, still fully alive, half fully alive?
Used to be fully alive. No.
Well, I'll tell you what. I am in a new stage of life. I don't know if it would be a sequel to Fully Alive. When I wrote Fully Alive, I still felt, I don't know how I say this. There was not as much of an awareness of how short time is as there is now at my age. There are things that naturally happen to you. I'll give you an example. When I trained for triathlons each year, it used to be that I would thrill in the fact that I could be faster than I was the year before. Or when I do something physical, golf, for instance, I would be thrilled that I could improve the distance of my drive. At my age, I need to learn to be grateful for the fact that I can still swing the club. Grateful for the fact that I can maybe not even maintain how fast I was last year, but I can jump in the water and do that swim and do that bike ride when a good majority of the people who are my age can't do it. And I guess that's another reason I wrote Fully Alive, is I wanted people to realize that you don't have to just sit and go downhill physically. You can maintain a good level of health that will slowly you get less and less able to do some of those things, but you're still able to do them, and you're still able to enjoy them. And even if something happens to take one or two of those away, there's still a reason for you to be here. And God isn't done with you yet. Not until your chest breaks the tape and you see the guy who started the race.
Well, thank you for taking my call, and I look forward to your new book, Gratefully Alive.
Gratefully Alive.
That's a good name. Thank you, Chris. Wow.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. That was a good answer. Yeah. Ken, what do you?
Question.
Yeah. What do you tell a starring comedian, someone who's wants to get into comedy? I mean, you're the master.
I would tell them, I don't know if you were at one of the gatherings of the Christian comedians. I would tell them what I told those folks, that you live with nothing to prove, nothing to hide, and nothing to lose. So you're not trying to prove that you have value. You just use what gifts you've given to the fullest of your ability to glorify God.
That's right. I was there.
Not have to look in the rear view mirror. That doesn't mean you won't make mistakes.
I think you haven't paid your cell phone bill. Ken, are you going through Nashville?
I am here.
You're here.
I've stayed in the same spot the whole time, for heaven's sake.
It must be California. We're having a tornado. No, we don't. No, so, a lot of times, let me make the question bigger now. There's a lot of people who are not comedians, who are not speakers, who are not, but they want to communicate better. And you have one of the best programs out there on how to be a better communicator. So what do you say to someone who wishes that they could speak with the kind of power that moves people to action, like something they can talk? What do you tell them?
I tell them, and I'm working on a presentation right now. We have this communicators conference that we do, but that's several days. So to condense that, I say this, that the greatest communicators, the people who communicate with most power and touch the most lives, are people who communicate with purpose. They know what they want to accomplish with their talk, not just want to talk about. Nobody cares what you want to talk about. They want to know how what you say will impact their lives in some way. So number one characteristic is that they communicate with crystal clear purpose. They know why they're saying the things they're going to say. Number two, they have a plan for developing that talk that leads to that purpose. They know that they have the stories or whatever it might be, or if it's even a comedian goes with a single purpose: I want to entertain people, make them laugh so hard they hurt. And then he tells stories and jokes that accomplish that purpose. I always try to wind into my comedy something a little deeper than that, and I found that if you can make people laugh, you can also make them cry, and you can make them. And so you have a plan that leads to that purpose, and then finally they communicate with passion. You know, they're excited about what they say. They use their face, their eyebrows. You watch people. I tell people, you watch them in the halls before one of our conferences, and they're laughing. They're talking about their new car, children and their grandchildren, and all. And then they get up to give a speech, and they become diminished. They become stiff. They become weird. And it isn't like that. If we could be as excited about speaking and appear as excited as we do about a party, and when we're having fun at a party, then that changes it. So it's purpose, a plan to develop a speech that will lead unmistakably to that purpose, and passion. And we develop each of those in our conference.
That's I mean, what if someone wants to dream of, like, hey, I want to write a book? What do you tell them?
I tell them the same thing. You got to know what the purpose is. My first book was How to Live with Your Parents Without Losing Your Mind. And it was a book with a purpose to help teenagers particularly learn how to make their home experience and their experience with their parents a positive experience. So every chapter, know how your parents think. Be willing to give a little. Each chapter had, choose your friends carefully. Each chapter had it was a rationale that led toward, but the purpose was to help them do that. By the way, I got requests from all over the world. My second book was, because parents said, write one for us. I wrote one entitled How to Live with Your Kids When Your Mind Is Already Gone, and that was for parents.
You know, your book, the first book, you remind me, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ken, but I remember when I know you were in youth ministry for a long, long time. You went all over with Youth for Christ. But I remember for 2 years, I was a youth pastor. I mean, being a comedian, but on the weekend, on Sundays, I would take 40 youth and try to develop them and teach them. And your book was really, really helpful. And I didn't feel bad because I know every few months when I'm in a church and I hear a pastor tell a story and I know where it came from, I'm like, that's from Ken Davis. That's but really a lot of pastors are on. I remember one of the books also you did, like, where this man is taking his lamb to sacrifice it, and you went through the mind of the lamb to find out, like, he didn't have to be. Remind me of that. Do you remember that story?
Sheeptails.
Yes.
It was the Bible stories told by the animals who were there. So the story of Daniel is told by a lion. The story of Jonah is told by a huge fish, especially created by God for that purpose. And so on. But it leads you right through all of the steps of Christ's life, all the way up to crucifixion and his resurrection. And it's just that book is one of the most read books and one of our best sellers.
Wow! Can people still get that stuff on Amazon?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah. If they're interested, well, they can get it at Amazon if they want. But you can either help the leader of Amazon or help feed my grandchildren. If they come to our website, kendavis.com.
That's right. Why go to Amazon? Sheeptails are for the kids, the ones for the teenagers, one for the parents, Fully Alive for the other people, and there's so many books that you did, and so there's a question that was in one that you teach in the SCORE conference, and the SCORE conference is tell us about the SCORE conference. What
Yeah, the
happens
SCORE
if
conference.
someone comes to the? Who needs to go, and what are they gonna get?
Somebody who has something to say, something to sell, who speaks for a living, who impacts people with speaking or wants to impact people with their speaking.
Uh-oh. Ken, we're having technical difficulties communicating with one of the best communicators.
That time we did lose him, but he hopefully should call back here any
Okay,
second.
he will call back, but I gotta tell you a story. One of the stories that Ken Davis does is really, and if you hear it, you think someone wrote the joke or that. It was Ken Davis, and it talks about that this guy that have a neighbor that doesn't like him, and one day that his dog comes home with the neighbor's rabbit, dead and dusty and dirty and got sand all over him. So so the man panics. He goes, "Oh no, what did you do?" He gets mad at the dog, takes the rabbit, cleans it up, removes the blood, cleans everything, clean the dust on it, and just blow dries him, make him look so fluffy and clean. And when his neighbor is not looking, he takes the rabbit and put it back in the cage in his neighbor's yard. And then comes back like nothing happened. An hour later, his neighbor knocks on his door, and he opens the door, and his neighbor's screaming, and he acts like he doesn't know what happened. What happened? What happened? He goes, "My rabbit." He goes, "Your rabbit? What happened to your rabbit?" He goes, "He died yesterday. I buried him, and today he's back in the cage." And it's just one of the
You
funniest.
hung up
Ken
on
is
me.
back. Well, we hanged up. You know what? It's funny. I was saying, talking to one of the best communicators, and we're having communication difficulties, I think,
That's right.
with our
That's
connection.
right.
I was sharing your rabbit story. That is just a classic.
Oh yeah. You
So,
were asking about the
the
conference.
score, the
Someone
conference.
who
Tell
comes,
us about it.
yeah, if someone who comes will learn how to prepare with that focus we talked about, and how to arrange their message in such a way that people will move to take action on what they're hearing, and with such passion that people will want to have them back. One of the greatest compliments given me over the year is to go back to places year after year after year, be invited back to speak. They will not only get a chance to hear those principles, but we will have a personal coach for every 8 or so people, and they will deliver talks and get a chance to see the power of putting this in action. And we've got one coming up there in November, and if folks just go to conference.tv with two R's, by the way, conference.
Conference.
They can register right there.
Okay, let's do that. Conference.tv forward
No,
slash.
SCORE conference.
Oh, Score
SCORE
Conference.
conference.
SCORRE conference.tv. And then they can register
That's it.
there. And the conference is in
That's right.
Nashville on November 4, 5, and 6.
Yes.
And then there's another one in Minnesota later that month, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Is that the same
Correct,
conference?
It's the same conference. It's led by different people. It's led by some of our certified coaches.
But are you going to be there in Minnesota?
I won't be in Minnesota. I will be here at the one in Nashville.
Then
I will
we
be
need to
teaching
come
at the
to
one in
Nashville. We need to come to Nashville. And I will. I want to make every effort. The 6th is my daughter's birthday, and if I can convince her to celebrate it on the 7th, I will be there. Because people, I gotta tell you, if you're in sales, if you're a manager of any group, if you're a teacher, if you're in any speaking, you have any speaking part where you people need to listen to you, you need to convey a message to them, you need to come to the SCORE. You can sign up for this year. I'm sure they'll do it next year too. So, or you need to read. But no, you gotta be there because they train you one-on-one. And I know me and Mark Gunger, our guest next week. We were there. We flew to Nashville to listen to you,
Yeah.
and you really are one of the best communicators and also one of the best people who can teach people how to communicate. So what we're going to do right now is we want to play another bit of one of your comedy, and then we'll come back. Is that okay? Can you hang on with us, Ken?
Yeah, that's fun, though, this time.
Oh, okay. We're going to... the first 3 minutes of the bit. Yes, we have a wonderful bit about why Christians are not happy coming to church when they come to church.
Thank you. You know, in spite of all that's going on in our country, in spite of all that we see around it, in spite of the difficulties that come our way every single day, there is a reason for joy. Do you believe that? Yeah. Joy. Oh, look at these young people clapping. He dropped a mic. Yeah. You just wait. It's coming. I happen to believe that people ought to be breaking down the doors to our churches to find out what the celebration is all about. We ought to have something in our lives that shows some joy. It's so tired of people who claim to be followers of Christ who walk around with a face that looks like they swallowed a profusely sweating toad. Have you ever run into these people? I've been a Christian for 27 years. And it's been great. I want to say, well, tell your face. You need to send missionaries to your face. Face has not yet heard the good news. God is the author of joy. A lot of us grew up believing that if it was fun, it was wrong. Right? Any of you ever come from that? My whole picture of God was that his job was to stand up in heaven somewhere and he would go, "Behold." No, I knew he stood like that. I'd seen them pictures. Ken Davis haveth fun. No. Give me a break. God is the author of joy. He's the one that created it. He's the one that made it. We got to hang on to it.
That's amazing. That's a message you can say every day to churches and to Christians. It's amazing. So Ken, books, they can go to kendavis.com and
That's right.
What do you call it? I was going to ask you, what qualities do a CEO, a plumber, a best-selling author, a youth leader, a magician, and a successful musician have in common? What qualities?
Are you asking me, or is this fair for a joke?
No, it's I'm asking you.
It's a real question.
It's a real question. If we come, you know what? I'm always serious around you. I don't know why. We're always, but I'm a serious. I don't know. We're comedians. We're serious in life, in real life.
I think that the quality that they have is the ability to engage people. But that comes with a great responsibility. And that is to leave them with something that will impact or make their lives better. And I'll be the first to say, sometimes that's a night of laughter. For me personally, I want that also to be connected with at least the first step towards something that will help them beyond that night, that will help them when everything falls apart, that will help them live forever. And so I always try to incorporate something like that in whatever I'm doing. It isn't like preaching a sermon or anything like that, but it's just that sometimes it's just helping them take the first step or giving them hope in life. And but the quality that all of those have in common is the ability to engage people, to make people sit up and listen and take notice. And great communicators can do that. Can do that in such a way that they can hold that attention for a significant period of time and lead people in a direction where they take action that benefits their lives.
That's wonderful advice. I'll tell you what, I'm planning to, once we're done, I'm gonna go back and watch this and write notes. Really, really, I mean, as someone I've been doing comedy for 30 years, I've been speaking, I'm still learning, and I learn a lot from you, and I honestly, I want to come to the SCORE conference if I can convince my daughter to let
Yeah.
me go for that day. And I want to tell everyone, listen, maybe you're not a speaker, maybe you're not in sales, maybe you don't have, but you know someone who can. Oh, what a great Christmas present if you can, hey, say, hey, you know what? I signed you up to go to the SCORE conference in Nashville.
Yeah.
I'm covering your ticket. I'm covering your time to
Yeah.
go there. And I really am investing in your life to really, because I know when people do that, when they come back, they have a purpose in their life. They know what they're going to do. And when you're able to communicate with people, you're able to get a lot of things done. And you will
Yep.
make more
That's right.
money. I mean, when you're in sales, and we're all in sales as comedians, the better you can communicate your message across, the more you will make. But that's not the reason. The reason is you feel great about yourself. And I want to
Yep.
encourage the listeners too. Is you know what? What am I encouraging? What encouraging? How can we close this with some encouragement? Can you take it? You're the master.
Say that again now.
I said we always close our podcast with an encouraging message. So I know you've been encouraging
Oh yeah.
people to be healthy, full of life. Give us
Yeah.
some more encouragement as we close
Oh,
this.
in all of their life, whether it's with their family, whether it's their spiritual development, whatever it might be, there's always room for improvement. Always. Uh, Coasting is deadly.
Mm,
It's just deadly. So, always be looking for where you can improve, and understand that any mistakes you've made are really just stepping stones to doing it better the next time.
mm. That's wonderful. Coasting, that's not putting something on a hot surface and put a coaster. Coasting means just going through life, through the motions of life. And again, people, I want you to go to kendavis.com. Look at 12 books. He has it. Go to Netflix and watch Fully Alive. I guarantee you it will get you excited.
Yep.
And like Ken said, just take one step, just first step into something, and that
Yep.
will really, you'll be fully
Yep.
alive. And Ken, thank you so much for being on the
Mm.
podcast with me. And that's, I'm honored to have you. And now everybody else is going to be on the podcast because I go, hey, I had Ken Davis there. So thank you so, so much. Tell Diane I said hello and your lovely kids and grandkids. And,
Okay.
I can't believe you're 72. You look not, I can't give you anything over 55. And I look forward to see you soon.
Okay, my friend.
Love
Thank
you,
you.
man. Thank you so much for your time. And
You're welcome.
for our listeners, remember the SCORE conference. You can go to uh, SCORRE conference.tv and sign up for that. In closing, join us next Monday for another podcast that will make you laugh, encourage you, and inspire you. Our our next guest next week will be Mark Gunger. Mark Gunger is a pastor in Green Bay at a big church called Celebration Church. He's also the one that have the conference called Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage. So if you have questions about marriage, you have a question about life, relationships, he is the master at that. He's the one that do the Tale of Two Brains. Wonderful guy. We're going to have him next week. So if you enjoyed this, if you're enjoying, if you're learning, if you're encouraged, if you're laughing, follow us. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook under Comedian Nazareth, and on Twitter at Nazman, Nazzman, and LinkedIn at Nazareth R. You can go to my website, NazarethUSA.com, NazarethUSA.com, and click on the podcast and subscribe to it. It will really help. You know what? We're not asking you for any money. We're not asking for anything. So you can do that. Also, if you're in the San Diego area, on October 18th, we will be at Maranatha Chapel. It seats 2,900 people, but you need to go to, to get your free ticket. How do you get your free ticket? You go to laughterforall.org, laughterforall.org. Get your free ticket. October 18th, 7:30. And start inviting your friends. They're gonna laugh for 2 hours. Hear the gospel. Then on November 2nd, we'll be in Beverly Hills, Bel Air. November 2nd at 6 p.m. on a Saturday. Also, go to laughterforall.org. Click on the date, November 2nd, and secure your free tickets. Free tickets, free parking. It's not free. I'm paying a lot of money for these events, so please come. We're paying for radios. All the radio stations in San Diego, we're paying for them. We're paying for, iTickets. We're paying for, all the social media. A lot of money because we want to get the gospel across through comedy. That's what we do. So please help us. If you know anybody in the San Diego or LA, tell them to go get their tickets. If you can make it, join us. If you are someone who loves what we do, like go, Nazareth, I love what you do for Jesus. You're doing comedy, you're sharing the gospel. And this Sunday, we had several people in Oceanside accepted Christ and heard the gospel. So we do that, and we're not ashamed of it. And we don't give them a gospel that say, oh, you're going to be rich and famous. And no, it's not a prosperity gospel. It's the true gospel. You surrender your life to Jesus. He has a better plan for you. It doesn't make you wealthier or healthier. Maybe not. Maybe it will. But it will really, you will have a purpose in your life. It will really give you the peace that nothing, no money, no fame, no nothing can offer you. No drugs, no alcohol, no vaping, nothing can do it. Jesus can fill you up. So that's what we do. So if you live in Southern California and you go, wow, I want to support this. I want to support these events that cost Naz a lot of money and cost them. How can I do that? We have a gala coming up on October 10th here in Corona at the country club, the Eagle Glen. October 10th. If you want to attend, just email me, text me, go on the Facebook Messenger and just send me a message, or you can email me at nazarethusa.com. Said, I want to attend. If you can attend, if you live far and you go, I need to support this, you can go to laughterforall.org. Laughterforall.org. There's a donate button. You can do it. I'm not very good at asking people to give and support this. It is non-profit, so it's a tax deductible. You can give whatever gift you want to say, hey, I wanna see people laugh. I want to see people encouraged, but I want them to hear the good news of Jesus Christ that brings joy. If that's what you want to do, go for it. Um, it will help. It will support, but don't do it because you have to. God loves a cheerful giver, and if you're not cheerful, please don't go to the website. Go somewhere else. Go to a different website. Don't come to our website. But I love you. Thank you so much for listening. Until next week, may the Lord bless you and guide you and be with you. Remember, laugh. Find a reason. Go to YouTube. Watch some of my comedy and other people's comedy on YouTube. Laugh, because it makes your cheeks will look younger. Your skin, your face will look younger, because there's muscles that only move in your face only when you laugh. So when the more you laugh, the less plastic surgery you will need. Love you guys. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.